Hey everyone, my name's PJ. Welcome to my backyard. I had a really dumb idea, or at least it seems dumb enough to try, to make a DIY pool heater. This is really the piece that sparked it all because it's the old diatomaceous earth style pool filter that I recently replaced, like freaking 2 years ago now. I replaced it with the more conventional style pool filter, but I had this left over and I was like, man, I didn't want to just throw it away or scrap it. I know I can use it for something. And well, here we go. I'm gonna use it for this. So the bottom half is going to be basically a fire pit, and I'm gonna use the copper coils inside. There's an airplane. I'm gonna use the copper coils inside around the fire that will start in the middle, and hopefully we can transfer enough heat from the fire into the water itself. You know, hydrogen bonds and all. So I got this submersible utility pump, 1/6 potentia, which means it has the potential to make 1/6 of a horsepower. All right, 20 feet maximum vertical lift. We call that head. 1,680 gallons per hour. My pool is 10,000 gallons approximately, so that means in what, 7 hours it'll be, no, 6 hours it'll be hot. We'll see how much actual energy gets transferred. This is the copper coil taken out of the box. It's 10 feet. I got 2 of them, so I'll have a total of 20 feet. I've got these couplers so we can splice in between. The couplers actually serve 2 purposes. On the end, it's going to make the end of the copper pipe the same diameter as the flange, so I'll be able to treat this and clamp a hose onto the end of it with one of these stainless steel clamps, screw clamps. I got a job pack of these 1/2-inch straps to basically be able to strap the pipe to the inside of this, and these screws will do the trick, hopefully. I got this type L copper, which hopefully that doesn't mean I'm a loser. 1, 2, 3, go. I started off by removing all of the plastic stuff which could potentially melt. You know, seeing as how this is going to be an actual fire pit, it's going to get pretty hot. So get this plastic pipe out of here. There we go. And this rubber gasket is out of here. Next, I started drilling the inlet and outlet tubes for the copper coil. Since stainless steel is extremely hard to drill through, I stepped up. I started with like a 3/16 bit and wound up with a 5/8 diameter bit, which let the 1/2-inch copper tube fit through it pretty nicely, as you can see here. Then it was time for a little torch ski-poo. I sweated this copper joint. I'm no plumber, but I also haven't ever had a copper joint leak on me, so say what you will about this sweat job here, but it works. At this point, it was time to start coiling the copper inside the container. So I carefully put one end in the hole that I just drilled, and I successfully burnt myself on the copper pipe that was still hot. After applying some burn cream to my forearm, it was then just a matter of rotating the copper coil around the inside perimeter of the fire pit. So the copper pipe does a pretty good job of holding itself in place. I know I bought that thing full of straps so that I could fasten it to the side of the inside of this, but I think I'm gonna forego that step. Honestly, the less holes I have to drill and the less work that I have to do, frankly, the better. So let's see if this works. If it winds up being a mess later, then I'll just put the straps in to hold it securely, but I think it's gonna be okay. Now comes the fun part. This is the part where I was able to get rid of a couple old scraps of steel that I've had laying around the shop forever. So I marked off their footprints and cut 2 rectangles in the top of the old pool filter. And there's a cool shot of some slow motion smoke. Then I took my smokestacks over to the welder and just tacked them together. I wasn't really being too careful about how it looked because in my mind this entire thing could be a huge failure anyway. So let me just see how it looks and whatever. I get to spend some time on the welder. There's a cool slow motion shot of me with some smoke, and that's neat. That looks cool. If you're gonna sit back and say, oh, this is not very DIY, nobody has a welder, well, just go get yourself a welder and then you can do cool stuff like this too. Duh. I was dealing with two drastically different gauges of steel, so the thinner side kept burning through, so you see me here like just tic-tacking back and forth to try and close up those holes. In the home stretch, all I had to do was trim the pipe to length and shove it through the outlet hole. And then it was ready for some magic. Okay, so I'm here at the pool. Got some charcoal in the bottom. I'm about to put some lighter fluid on it and get it started with some hardwood scraps. This is the cover with these cool custom exhaust tips. It's already on, it's pumping water right now. We're gonna kick the tires and light the fires. Okay, she's burning. And that truck just beeped his horn because he's like, hey, that thing is so cool what you just made. Okay, so I've got the pump submerged. It's a pump in water. We've got the fire lit inside. These smokestacks look pretty badass. Look like a bull snorting smoke. And then the output, I guess, is it's warm, but the fire's only been burning for like 2 minutes, so let's check back in a little bit. This is my favorite shot of this thing in action. The jury's still out on whether or not it's working, but at least it looks cool. So after that relatively quick build and a Home Depot run and a lot of extra parts that I didn't wind up using, I'm gonna call this build a complete, not a complete fail, but like a 90% fail, because after letting it run for pretty much the whole day, I think the pool actually got a little bit colder, so that didn't work. I think the problem was that the canister itself, when I closed the top to let the smoke come out of those cool exhaust stacks, never really got the water hot enough to make any kind of a difference in the pool. So phase 2 looks a little something like this. I had this fire pit already in my yard, so what I did was I took the copper coils and basically just transferred it to the bottom of this fire pit, which has the potential to get a lot hotter than that little container that I was using before. We're going in and out of the pool. We've got the sump pump sucking up water, and it's actually pretty hot water coming out of there. So the plan is to just leave it alone for the day, keep the fire going, and see what happens. This section here, I plan on putting a T-fitting with a valve so I can actually control the flow. One of the issues that I ran into was the fact that the water was actually traveling through the coils too quickly. So it wasn't hanging around enough to actually pick up any heat from the fire. So being able to slow that flow down really lets the water sit in that pipe a little bit longer and transfers more heat to the pool. Was it a complete failure? As a pool heater, yes, but maybe in the future I can use this thing as a smoker, because I'm still really digging how these exhaust stacks look. I really appreciate the support along the way. I got a lot of questions on Instagram about this build. I'm sorry to let you guys down, but it is a good idea. It just didn't work in this application. I wasn't able to get that fire hot enough. It would have been nice to actually have like a portable pool heater. I would have been able to take this and let my neighbors borrow it. Like after my pool is nice and warm, I can just kind of pass it down the street and let everybody else have nice warm pools. See, water has a very high thermal conductivity, which means it's very easy to heat it up, but it's also very easy for it to lose that heat. But in a relatively large body of water like a pool, 10,000 gallons of a pool, if I can increase the temperature of my pool by, let's say, 10 degrees, which would be amazing, it would take a long time for it to dissipate that heat. So it would be good for
a day or so. If I could get it to the point where I can run, or not run, but like burn a fire for the full day, you know, maybe 5, 6 hours, 8 hours, if I can tend to the fire all day and get the pool to be nice and hot, I think the next day, if we have a little pool party or something, the kids won't have, you know, blue skin by the end of their time in the pool. Anyway, thanks for watching. I really appreciate you guys hanging out this long and listening to me talk about something that didn't even work. But anyway, comment what you think down below, and I'm not going to tell you what to do about subscribing.